The epidemic of human trafficking. Human trafficking is amongst one of the most overlooked violations of human rights in the world right now. Survivors of this atrocity cope with their experience by raising awareness through art, literature, and narratives in an attempt to stop this epidemic for good. An introduction to the human trafficking statistics. Human trafficking globally generates an estimated $32 billion in profits annually. 5.5 million children are trafficked. 51% of the humans that are trafficked are women. 21% of the victims trafficked are men. 20% of the victims are girls. And 8% are boys. Stopping human trafficking through media and culture. Isua Igwamase wrote an article for Survivor Alliance titled Influencing the Media and Cultural Narrative Around Human Trafficking and Slavery. In this piece, she talks about how we must shift our views away from cliche narratives and structure a new message that empowers, educates, and inspires the right actions. Iwamase explains how we can use creative expression from the survivors to combat a human rights violation. She states, in these times when we are advocating for reforms in this sector through a reimagined movement that centers on the experience and stories of those who have lived through it. She further explains that the expression of culture and media deeply impact this human rights movement. She states, stories that are told in media reportage are not only a reflection of societal standards, they also inform how norms and values are formed, which in turn influences public opinion and societal attitudes over time. Iguamase gives a new alternative on how media and culture can give survivors an avenue of creative expression that will in turn help survivors heal and inform the public on how to put an end to this human rights violation. Iguamase uses her platform to introduce new alternatives on how to approach a topic like this. She demonstrates how creative expression is directly related to human rights. When these survivors were being trafficked, they were robbed of their human rights and could not express themselves. Now that they have regained their rights, they could use creative expression to heal. Using art to combat human trafficking. Neo G Photography produced an article called No More Art Bringing Awareness to Human Trafficking, which features artwork from Lisa Temple. Lisa Temple uses a life size painting featuring Natalie Adams to convey a powerful message. Lisa Temple uses her creative expression by stating the words "no more" and "no more" in the picture along with a stroke of black paint over the girl's mouth. Temple uses this metaphor to convey the message that if we know more about this epidemic, the human rights violation will exist no more. Lisa Temple's strong message conveyed through her painting and metaphors help raise awareness about the reality of the human rights violation. Lisa Temple uses her paintings to speak for the current victims and survivors of human trafficking. She uses art as a platform of creative expression to help survivors voice their message. The metaphor of the black paint over the girl's mouth helps explain the deprivation of human rights that these victims have or currently endure. If someone cannot express their voice, do they truly have any rights at all? Another example of art that is used to combat human trafficking is seen with Alliance to End Human Trafficking. Alliance to End Human Trafficking details the importance of creative expression through art to combat human trafficking. The organization Artworks for Freedom selects that shines a light on the horrors and complexities of human trafficking. Artworks educates their audience through encouraging the host to engage participants through the exhibits, lectures, and talks by the artist. They also use the creative expression of the survivors and artists to outline the reality of this human rights violation. They present quality work that avoids stigmatizing imagery and elevates the voices of the survivors. Artworks provide the channel for survivors to elevate their voices through the art. These survivors can use creative expression to help regain the human rights that were once robbed from them. Addressing human trafficking through fundraising. Project GOAT is an organization that stands for Global Offensive Against Trafficking. They use art based fundraising to tackle human trafficking. Project GOAT uses art to allow artists, celebrities, athletes, musicians, actors, and others to voice their opposition to this violation of human rights. Specifically, Jennifer Thomas Hodgson, a featured artist, uses her collection of 24 black and white images to oppose and raise awareness about human trafficking through creative expression. The picture seen on the right is titled "Faces of Human Trafficking" and is one of Jennifer Thomas Hodgson's work. Addressing human trafficking through statistics, education, and fundraising. The Walk Free Foundation uses their foundation to provide statistics and explain the root causes of human trafficking in modern slavery. The Walk Free Foundation also provides a platform for survivors to express their struggles and stories. The stories of these survivors help bring awareness to the violation of human rights. This foundation provides a larger platform for victims to share stories. They are able to use creative expression on a global stage. This foundation provides survivors with the feeling that they are being heard. Throughout the research of this project, I was able to examine the relationship of creative expression and human rights. What left the biggest impression on me was creative expression through the use of art. Survivors and artists were able to raise awareness for human trafficking through the use of artwork. Artworks for Freedom uses the creative expression of survivors to raise awareness on this human rights violation. During their exhibits, they also provide lectures and quizzes that educate the average person on the atrocities of human trafficking. Nino G Photography uses the art of a professional artist to help put the survivors' words and stories into strong images. The use of artwork by professional artists or survivors allows survivors to convey their traumatizing stories through the use of imagery. Art is a prime example of how creative expression and human rights are related, because without creative expression, these survivors would not be able to exercise the human rights that were once taken away. Another topic that I felt obligated to address was the use of fundraising to challenge human trafficking. I felt fundraising allowed survivors to express themselves through a larger platform and more creatively. Foundations such as the Walk Free Foundation allows victims to use creative expression through memoirs and personal accounts. These memoirs and stories help raise money and awareness for human trafficking. Foundations such as Project GOAT uses professional artists' work to be promoted by celebrities, which in turn brings recognition to the topic of human trafficking. The sources used for the research of this project are cited below.